Have you ever stopped to realize that your current identity might just be a beautifully executed marketing campaign? Welcome back. Today, we are doing a psychological and metaphysical deep dive into a phenomenon I call the long-haired, thick redbone aesthetic. Let's take a trip down memory lane. In the late 2000s and throughout the 2010s, rap and R&B artists were aggressively pushing a very specific aesthetic. Before this, we had the 90s fine era or the 2000s skinny era, where natural men and women reigned supreme. But suddenly, the airwaves changed. The industry began programming a new blueprint: long, multiracial hair, hyper-specific features, a small waist, and a massive butt. And let's be honest, women listened. We got out our pen and paper and studied those lyrics and video girls like we were studying for the SATs. Why? Because women care about what the men they love or like care about. Your crushes, boyfriends, and husbands were either loudly advocating for this look or quietly but privately admiring the aesthetic, or privately passing glances at it on their screens. So, women did what they always do. They adapted. They flooded the cosmetology surgeries, wig stores, salons, and esthetician offices. Supply met demand. In every major city and small town, businesses popped up like manufacturing plants, specifically designed to churn out this new model of woman. But here is where the plot twists. The same men who sang those lyrics religiously and copied the rapper aesthetics of that era have now shed that skin. Around 2018 or 2019, like magic, men stepped into their immature to elevated era and developed a sudden case of collective amnesia. Not realizing women were still being programmed the message, and most of the adaptations were permanent and not just as simple as changing clothes. Now, we have gender wars. Men sit on social media accusing the very same women they had access to when she was natural of now being fake or unnatural. But weren't the women just doing exactly what the men did and verbally manifested for? The only difference? The women's aesthetic required permanent cosmetics. And when you factor in the birth of the digital age, Instagram, Facebook, Vine, that long-haired, thick redbone aesthetic became deafeningly loud for women and teenagers. It wasn't just on the radio anymore. It lived in your pocket like a ringtone. And don't think for a second this stopped with one race or culture. It impacted everyone. Look at the Kardashians. They adopted the entire package. The slick middle parts, the BBLs, the fillers, the lashes. Collecting black and brown men, and subsequently creating beautiful children who would go on to fit the very aesthetic we are talking about perfectly. It goes so deep that even most of the men in the NBA are the male version of this exact aesthetic programming. Think about it. Curly hair, green to honey brown eyes, tall, muscular, light to sun-kissed skin. Even Cat Williams had a famous stand-up set pointing out that most male actors had the same Hollywood wife package. So, who is right and who is wrong? If we look at this in black and white, we miss the entire point. Neither side is to blame. The truth is, we were completely blindsided and sneak attacked by a 16 to 18-year matrix of social media, lyrics, and music videos. Metaphysically speaking, words are spells. Sound frequencies, thoughts, and lyrics broadcast on major networks are literal acts of manifestation. When you replay a specific concept over and over again, it must materialize. But if your intentions aren't grounded in a real, soulful foundation, you get exactly what we see today: a complete loss of individuality. People became terrified to step outside of the trend because they feared they wouldn't be desired by romantic partners or accepted by their peers. Men faced the exact same fear in the 2010s, terrified to step out of the skinny jeans or wide-leg trends because of collective judgment. From duck lips and the Justin Bieber hair swoop to poetic justice braids, athleisure, and Crocs, we have been hit with many programming campaigns for decades. But here is my real question for you. Why have we become so afraid to just be who we are? How many of you can honestly say you are your authentic self? How much of your style and presentation is driven by a social media influencer instead of your roots, your parents, or your own soul? We used to have regional identity. Before social media, every city had its own dances, its own flavor. Now, kids on TikTok are doing the same shoulder sway. And when they try to remake dances from the 2000s, they make them look so vanilla that millennials have to step in and show them how it was actually done. We replaced cosmic abundance and joy with digital scarcity. So, I leave you with this. Look in the mirror. Who actually are you? And what metaphysical laws are you casting aside just to follow a set of programmed social rules? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Follow me on social media. Find me on TikTok at LAVance26, YouTube at Metaphysically2, and Instagram at _LAVance26. You can also purchase my ebooks and services on my Etsy store, Metaphysical Realm 26. I'll see you there.